long time ago, my grandfather, Harry John Score, fired up my imagination and instilled in me a deep love for history with countless stories of his past. Now, I am a grandfather with stories of my own to share with my granddaughter, Hannah. Oh, and now, with the help of the World Wide Web, I can share them with you. Simple little tales of life from years and years ago. When you're young and, as they say, still wet behind the ears, and you're looking down the road and trying to plan your future, crystal balls are pretty hard to find. And if you do find one, it's usually foggier than a July morning in the middle of a swamp, or jammed full of twisted fates and complicated plot lines. I should know. My fate, future, and life story plot line have been twisted so doggone much, Will Shakespeare couldn't have concocted such a life story on a drunken binge. I don't have the time in this episode to go into details, but I can give you a bit of an idea. First of all, would you believe originally I set out to be a minister? Hard to believe, but true. But, that didn't happen. Not a surprising plot twist there. I decided for some reason I wanted to work with my hands. So I ended up at New York State University at Cobleskill and got a 2-year degree in Jack of all trades. As I live and breathe, that's the truth. For my classes there, I learned the basics of gas and diesel engine mechanics, hydraulics, carpentry, electrical wiring, welding, and, believe it or not, art, theater, and writing. For the next 50 years, one way or the other, I put it all to use. Starting back in 1970, as soon as I got out of Cobleskill, there wasn't enough work or income on the family farm, so I had to go. I stayed in agriculture, but worked for farmers all over the Hudson Valley. With the title of Agway Farm Service Technician, whatever Agway sold to farmers that had more than 2 moving parts, I installed it and I repaired it. Never made much money, but I had a lot of fun, most of the time. The biggest twist of fate took a little time to play itself out, and it started in 1981 while I was working out of Agway's service department in Middletown, New York. One day they brought in a new management trainee, a young 20-year-old farm kid from Callicoon, wherever that was. Didn't know much about him other than he was tall, real tall, and he talked too much. I never got too excited about management trainees. Always thought they were there to be groomed into brown-nosing corporate butt kissers. However, he did graduate from Cobleskill, so I figured he couldn't be all that bad, and I gave him some slack. I soon learned he was a very observant kid. I had sort of a routine I actually wasn't aware of myself, but he was. When a service call came in, which happened several times almost daily, I would go out to the service yard, climb in my service truck, and head on out the service gate and merged on to Dulcin Avenue, the busy 4-lane street that ran past Agway. While I was doing that, I always took my sunglasses off the dashboard and put them on. One day, while doing this unconscious routine while merging into heavy traffic, as I put on my sunglasses, I immediately went blind. After 5 seconds of total panic, I managed to pull off the street and stop. I quickly tore off the sunglasses and, sure enough, I could see again. That kid from Callicoon covered the lenses with black electrical tape. I could have been killed. Turned out that kid wasn't the wannabe butt kisser I assumed he was going to be. He had real talent, and that began a long friendship that has lasted all through the next 40 years. Now, there are dozens of adventures we went on together over the years and hundreds of predicaments we found ourselves in, or put each other in. There was the issue about me getting his wife out of her wedding dress before him, but that's for another episode. And no, it's not what you're thinking, whatever you're thinking. Oh, all right, let me get back to the twist of fate. If I keep rambling on, this could take hours. I'll give you the short version. We worked together for a few years there in Middletown. He went on to be a hotshot Agway store manager in New Paltz, New York. I went on to be a power equipment mechanic for Devitz in Newburgh. Around 1993, as many store managers did, he burned out and got himself a job as farm manager for Rosedale Nurseries in Gardner, New York. 4 years later, Agway began to burn out, and again, I had to go. So my good friend, former butt kisser trainee, former hotshot store manager, got me a job with him at Rosedale, where I became their resident jack of all trades. A twist of fate? Yes, but not the big one. Here it is. The Score family farm was sold in 1978, or thereabouts. My father and brother Jim rented it back and raised corn on it up until the early 90s. The farm was then sold to a sportsman's club for hunting. Most of the farm then grew up into weeds. And for the first time since 1947, the Score farm was no more. Then, in 2000, word came that the farm was up for sale again. Word at the same time also came to the former trainee butt kisser, hotshot store manager, and me that Rosedale needed more farms in the area. The rest is a lot of history for other episodes. Today, Rosedale's farm location, SC-5, is officially designated Score Farm. The family farm still lives. Well, of course, it's some other family's farm now, but Brother Jim and I got to spend the last 20-plus years of our working careers back on the farm. Yep. Excuse me, Thomas Wolfe. Once in a while, you can go home again. Oh, just one more thing. I believe it was 2001, 20 years after the sunglass incident, when one morning, former trainee, butt kisser, hotshot store manager, now big-time farm manager, was backing his truck out of the shop at the Rosedale Gardner farm, put on his sunglasses, and suddenly went blind. Hey, Paul Hank, thanks to you, the last 40 years have been a blast. Thanks for all the fun. And now even that was years and years ago.
Oh my, I can't see a thing.